Okay. I'm sorry. I drew a blank there for a minute. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what other animated characters became really famous.
Oh, what was it? From the Little Mermaid, like Sebastian, and was it
Sebastian.
Flounder?
Yes.
Yeah, say they that movie actually too. I don't mean to switch topics again, but that had a pretty dark way they end up taking out Ursula in the very end of it. I remember I was watching a compilation a while ago actually about kind of messed up sick Disney deaths that were actually shown on screen where she actually gets I didn't know, I never noticed as a kid, but she actually gets impaled by a one of the old shipwrecks she pulls up from the bottom of the ocean.
I never realized that.
Yeah, it was I can't remember the character, the character's name, but
Ursula?
the Prince Charming. She's
Oh,
trying
yeah, I don't
to
remember.
kill Ariel, and he ends up climbing onto one of the shipwrecks she pulls up from the bottom of the ocean. He actually drives it right through her back, and I'm like, that was actually
That was kind of graphic.
kind of, yeah. I mean, there's no gore or anything like that, but just kind of watch it, you're like, oh, that would kind of suck.
Right. Yeah, no, and you know what I'm surprised about? I'm trying to find a list of like some of the minor characters that got bigger than Disney thought they would,
Yeah.
and I can't find one. It doesn't seem to be something that exists. Maybe it's how I'm wording it, but it's I don't know. 13 characters you totally forgot about. We could try that. Um,
I actually just clicked on that one
ooh,
myself.
what was the guy Wheezy
Oh, from
from?
Toy Story 2. Yeah.
Yes,
That was the second one, right?
that
Yeah,
was.
he was in the second movie.
Yes, he was in the second movie. That's all they show. Literally, they just showed Wheezy.
I heard a lot of
Oh wait,
conspiracies
there we
that
go.
he
There's
is
arrows.
actually evil. That
I wouldn't believe. I wouldn't.
Well,
Uh,
because I I forget where I saw that, whether it was a website or someone made a YouTube video. It's like one of those things where you're just clicking on links and then you start getting to like that weird side of the internet. But
yeah.
someone said if you think about it, he's the actual reason Woody got kidnapped
Yes.
in Toy Story 2, which I'm like, oh, so maybe he did have a sinister plot the entire time.
Oh, do you remember the Emperor's New Groove
Vaguely, I do remember.
and the squirrel?
Oh,
So the Emperor got turned into a llama. For those of you that
right,
don't know, the
right.
Emperor got turned into a llama, and there's a point when he's surrounded by jaguars, and the squirrel comes up,
Mhm.
and he's like, shh, and he'd made fun of the squirrel before.
Yeah.
And the squirrel like literally just pulls out blows up a giant one of the long balloons, turns it into an animal, grabs a giant pin, and he's like, no, 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 and he just jabs it in, and you just hear pop,
Wakes them
and then they
up.
all wake up. I forgot about him. This is fun. We should do this more.
I was scrolling through the list too, and I actually remember I'd forgotten it was a Disney movie, but the movie Atlantis.
Yes.
That was like a movie. Grant, I guess you could argue they're main characters, but I figure in that movie it was
I feel like
was-
everybody was a main character in that movie.
yeah, it was it was most of the people in the expedition to me were minor characters, but they end up becoming main characters when they made, I believe, the second movie. But that just goes to show, the supporting roles, whether you consider them minor characters or not, or can actually be fairly impressive.
What about comic relief? If we go with like Disney's
That might be good.
comic relief characters, I don't know, because I don't feel like Minions were gonna be that big. I mean, unless
No.
Disney expected that. I don't see them.
I almost want to say that was one of those things where, they kind of rolled with it, because it's kind of like, I've said this many times before on the podcast, and I'll say it again. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and they find out sometimes which characters people love through merchandising.
Yes.
I know, like, I'm not an expert on it by any means, but I know, like, the character Boba Fett. People absolutely love that character. It's like, and I, as a kid watching, I thought he was pretty cool. I mean, he looked awesome, his suit of armor and everything like that, and just kind of how, how little you saw of him made you curious about him. But I think it was almost like with merchandising, which made him pick up a lot.
Right.
Because, it was, if I remember correctly, of course, I wasn't around when they were, those movies, the original trilogy came out. I was born years after, but, when he made his first debut in Empire Strikes Back, they started kind of selling some toys of him. and people absolutely loved it. It was, that was the little action figure to have on the playground in the day, So then, I'm not saying they haven't made spin-off movies, but he became a huge part of like some of the video games that were created afterwards. A lot of people wrote novelizations and books after, so just something like that, something such a minor character became such a big explosion.
What about the genie in Aladdin?
I would consider him a main character, but you're right though. He's not.
I bet you he blew up because of Robin Williams. I think he blew up bigger than they expected him to be.
Definitely, yeah. I'd say because I can't. I'm having trouble remembering the original movie Aladdin. But yeah, wasn't he kind of almost like he just kind of showed up every once in a while?
Yes.
He wasn't a major character because of course it was Aladdin, Jasmine, and Jafar, of course, the villain.
What about Mushu from Mulan? Let's go kick some honey buns.
I think Mushu and the cricket got a pretty good chance of being some of the better characters.
Yeah, they did. Those were some of my favorite characters when I was a kid, and especially when the grandma takes and puts the cricket, and he's like, "Let's see how lucky you really are," and she puts her hands over her eyes.
It crosses the street.
He's like, "Man, you are one lucky cricket."
After it turns around, all the carnage behind her, all the merchants that crash into each other with their carts and whatnot.
See, I'm looking up a list, and it says, well, these are comic relief characters. I would consider them a little bit of the same thing, because I feel like that's what Timon and Pumbaa were. But it's bringing up people like I would assume would be the main character, like Baloo from The Jungle Book.
Right.
Like, he was a comic relief. Or Krunk. Mm-hmm. Krunk from The Emperor's New Groove. He got his own movie. I feel like he was kind of one of those that blew up bigger than... Ooh, and Thumper, too. Thumper from Bambi.
Oh, yeah.
And I got Timon and Pumbaa on here. Oh, the horse from Tangled. The horse or the chameleon thing?
I feel like Disney's done a lot with, like, in movies with, human characters. Like, a lot of, like, the animals. Like I know with, like, Mulan, her horse was pretty funny in that movie, too.
Yes,
I feel like a lot of, like, the animal characters in those movies almost become, not cameo, but like bit parts. Kind of like the list we were talking about earlier. The 13 characters that you forgot,
right?
Were actually kind of funny. Haven't they done that a lot though with like horses, especially?
Yes.
They have. They're kind of not exactly comic relief, but they're always doing something goofy to kind of help out, their hero, if you will.
Yeah. No, I love the horse. Like all the horses have attitude, and that's what I love. There's something about some of these animals that I can't get over. Like they're so funny, and now they're starting. I think they're starting to milk it now because I feel like Olaf was meant to be that way.
Yeah.
Minions, I'm not so sure about, but Olaf was definitely kind of put in there for comic relief.
I feel like, I agree. I feel like Olaf was in there, kind of as the funny character, but I think Minions, they just kind of, those little guys blew up as far as the merchandising and, the kind of the fan following, if you will, and they just became lovable. So they got lucky and got their own movie. But I do think, I don't argue that they strategically placed,
right.
like certain characters in there. Oh, let me see. I'm actually digging around on here online too, looking for some forgotten minor characters, if you will.
So I'm putting a post out or a comment on the Topic Talk space or on the Spreaker.com, which should go over, and it says, "What is your favorite comic relief character in Disney movies?" So if you want to throw that in the comment section below, and just tell me what is your favorite comic relief character. So it could be anything from Olaf to Timon and Pumbaa to the horse from Tangled. So let us know that, please. You can also go on the Topic Talks Facebook page and just leave the comments. Just say, hey, my official, my favorite one is this. So I want to move on a little bit, and this might throw you off, but I figured I'd throw this in because I just saw it on the Facebook page. So earlier this week, I posted a video. I don't know if you had a chance to see it. Do you remember the book we read in middle school? That was I'm talking like 6th grade. Mm-hmm. It was A Wrinkle in Time.
Yes, I remember.
You remember that?
Yep.
Okay, so my grandma and I read the book because a lot of the books, especially since I was ADHD, when we read together when I was in school, And A Wrinkle in Time was one that we really liked, along with some of the other ones, because it was funny. We read Bridge to Terabithia, A Wrinkle in Time, and there was Among the Hidden. And I'm pretty sure a person died in every single book that we read that year.
The Among the Hidden, was that the I can't remember the first
that was the one where
Haddix?
you weren't allowed to have 3 kids.
Yeah, with the population police.
Yes.
I absolutely enjoyed that series.
That was a
those
great.
Books, those were excellent.
I haven't read the series. I just read that book, and I think that should be a movie.
Yeah,
that'd be a great movie.
Those would make it excellent because there's a huge series of them. They would make an awesome film.
But anyway, so back to this. So my grandma and I had bought a movie it was supposed to be A Wrinkle in Time, and I was very upset that it wasn't nearly as good as the book was. It was kind of cheesy.
Was it a fairly new movie, or would it come out a while ago?
No, it came out a while ago.
Because I swear in one of my classes I actually watched that movie.
I think we did. I think we all watched it together, and it was kind of bad.
If I remember correctly, if it's the same movie, it was a huge disappointment.
Yeah,
I
it
thought
was
the
really
book was far superior in terms of just being that much more awesome.
Yeah, I found it. It was made in 2003 is when the movie came out, and it was called A Wrinkle in Time. It was based on the children's series by the same name. And it had Katie Stewart in it, Gregory Smith, David Dorfman, Chris Potter. It was really bad, and I don't remember what made it so bad. I just didn't like it. I don't know what made it so bad. I don't know if it was just cheesy.
And I almost want to say, because they always say it's really difficult to adapt a book to film. Although they say that, and yet a lot of people enjoyed the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Harry Potter series.
Right. Well, some of the people that read the Harry Potter series, and who read it and watched the movies, were disappointed that they were so different.
Right. I guess I'm talking in terms of like box office success. But yeah, no, you're right. I'd say some people never heard that was a book series and just started watching the movies, but I almost want to say it's like a book like that, because The Wrinkle in Time had almost a really, really, kind of like a deep meaning to it, if you will, which was expressed very well in the book. But, it's almost like, I don't want to say the movie was lazy, but it kind of was.
Okay, now you ready? So here's what I posted. They're making a new movie, A Wrinkle in Time. Ooh. This one's by Disney, okay? And listen to some of the actors and actresses they get. They got Chris Pine, Reese Witherspoon, and Oprah Winfrey.
Okay.
Zach Galifianakis. And it looks super good.
Is it a live action, or is it?
Oh, it's a live action.
Oh my goodness, that'll be interesting.
And it looks very dark. It looks a lot darker than the other one was. And I don't know if Disney made the other one, but I know that this one is made by Disney. And it's set to come out in 2018, and I'm super excited. It's supposed to come out like next year. Or, well, next year, obviously, but like March. Here it is, March 9th of 2018.
I know. I'm going to have to reread that book again, because I do remember the
How about
story,
this?
But...
We will read up, and we'll read the book, we'll watch the old movie, and then we'll go and watch the new movie.
I like this idea.
Like this idea?
I don't have it all fresh in the mind. Be an excellent, very fair, hopefully unbiased comparison. Although I think we both agree that the movie, the 2003 or 4 movie, wasn't that like
2003 movie wasn't that really that good. But anyway, if you want to see the trailer, it is on the Topic Talks Facebook page, and it just says A Wrinkle in Time. I posted it just a couple days ago, so it should be almost at the top of the feed. And it's super good. But I just wanted to bring that up because I know you had read the book.
Oh, definitely.
And I had read the book, and I had watched that 2003 movie. I think we all watched it in class, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
And my grandma had bought it because I'm like, well, it wasn't really that great, but, at least it's a movie.
Right.
So we still have it, too. We really didn't like it. We watched it once, and we're like, yeah, that wasn't really that good. But I think my grandma wanted to watch it. I think we watched it in class. My grandma wanted to watch it. I'm like, oh. Speaking of watching things, I got super excited. I geeked out the other day.
Yeah.
Because you know when you're on something and it's like recommended apps for you.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what app it recommended for me?
What?
Boomerang.
Oh no.
Boomerang now has an app, and I'm talking like they have Adam Ant and Bugs Bunny and Courage the Cowardly Dog, Camp Lazlo, Daffy Duck, the Flintstones, Droopy, Huckleberry Hound. Foghorn Leghorn, They've got Looney Tunes, Popeye, Richie Rich, Scooby Doo, Roadrunner.